Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how to do a monohybrid cross. So first off, there's this really good video for you to watch. I'm going to send it to you, send a link of this video to you in the email so that you can watch it. It's really good. It's going to be really helpful if you watch it, okay? I forgot to assign this as homework earlier last week, but you should really watch it. Strongly recommend. Please watch it, okay? Oh wait, we're not watching it right now. Anyway. So today we're going to be talking about monohybrid cross. So again, monohybrid cross is when we're crossing one trait. We're only looking at one trait at a time, which means every single organism has many traits coded by many genes, but we're going to look at one at a time and see how that works out. So the first one that we're going to use it as an example is you first need to know what genotypes and phenotypes are. And if you were to know the genotype or phenotype of the parents or the children, you can predict the other two, okay? So what are genotypes, what are phenotypes? There are only three possible genotypes. There's the homozygous dominant that you can use any letter for. You can use big A, big A, big B, big B, big B, big B. It could be big anything. But if it's one trait, it has to be the same type of letter. So let's write this down. Let's just use A because that's the easiest. So big A is your homozygous dominant. Big A, little a is your homozygous recessive. And then you can have little a, homozygous recessive as your heterozygous, I'm sorry. And little a is your homozygous recessive. In a Punnett square, what we're doing is to predict what are the possible combinations of results mixing two parents' DNA. Basically, for what are all the possible offspring's genotype and phenotype we can get from the parents that we already know about. So doing a Punnett square is really easy, but you have to be able to interpret the question and actually answer the question. So here's the important part. You have to turn genotypes into phenotypes and backward, okay? That is the key to solving these questions. Whenever you see the question talking about any kind of genotype, whether it's an allele, which is one letter, or is it a person, an individual, that has to be two alleles, two letters, right? You have to turn the words into the letters, or you also have to turn letters into words because from genotypes you can tell what the phenotypes are. So make sure that you automatically do this. Genotype, phenotype, phenotype, genotype, back and forth all the time. All right, so how to fill out a Punnett square? So let's say we have two parents. One is homozygous dominant, one is homozygous recessive. Let's say we have eye color right here, brown eye color, which is dominant, blue eye color, which is recessive. And what you could do is that you first line up these letters, and as you can see, we're separating the two letters within the top or the side of each box. The reason for that is because we don't use, when we're making offsprings, we're not using both alleles of the same gene. We're only taking one allele at a time. Remember, parents, so these are our parents. You always have two alleles, all right? But whenever you have a child, whenever you have a gamete, which is used to form, the child, right? We take one gamete from mom, one gamete from dad, put them together. That's how you get a fertilized egg that can turn into an offspring. So we have to have one from each. So gametes each will have only one allele. Okay, so let's say we were to talk about this first box right here. We get one allele, so one letter from dad, one version of the gene from dad, big B, and one version of the gene from mom, little b. So that's what really we're doing here. Punnett square is we're mixing up the alleles of the genes and see what are the possible offspring genotypes, which in turn we can talk about the offspring phenotypes. So in this case, we drop down the letters, we move the letters to the side. Now we can see the four possible genotypes, but in this case, the four genotypes are the same, which doesn't always happen. But this is the four possible genotypes. And it also doesn't mean that these two parents are necessarily going to have four children. If they only have one child, or if they have 10 children, either way, and no matter how many children they have, for each child, the only genotype that they can have, in this case, is big B, little b, which is in terms of genotype, it's heterozygous, and in terms of phenotype, it will be the dominant trait, which will be black or brown eye color. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So you should also know that each one of the boxes, because there are 4 boxes in total, each box represents 25% of the chance. What does that mean? Okay, so if we were to have 100 children, this one box means 25 child. If we only have 2 children, 4 children, this means 1 child. It's 25%. So make sure that you know these are not each individual child, is what is the possibility of that 1 child, okay? So in this case, we have 4 out of 4 chance if it was the question were to ask you about a fraction, or you could say 100% of the child would be big B, little b, or brown-eyed child, depending on whether the question is asking for genotype or phenotype. And you can say the genotypic ratio, or you can also talk about ratio. So the genotypic ratio could be big B to big B, little b, to little b equals to 0 to 4 to 0, which also equals to 0 to 1 to 0. Either way is correct, okay? So let's look at another example. If you were to do 2 heterozygous parents, the original wasn't correct. So the 2 heterozygous parents will each have big B, little b, big B, little b. Again, we're splitting up the 2 letters on the top and on the side because in order to form gametes, each gamete only has 1 allele of the gene, which means you only have 1 letter. So dad contributes 1 allele, 1 letter. Mom contributes 1 allele, 1 letter. Together, this is how this works. So dad is contributing, mom is contributing as well. All right, as you can see, a few things that we want to notice. Whenever you have big B, little b, you have to put the big B first because that's how we do it. When we have a dominant trait, when we have a dominant allele, we always put the dominant allele in the front. It makes sense because it's dominant. So what is the expected phenotypic ratio? Whenever you are asked a certain ratio or a certain percentage, you have to first think about what are the possible phenotypes, okay? So here we have big B, little b. The phenotype for this is brown. So when you're drawing the Punnett square, it's helpful. Remember I said genotype to phenotype, phenotype to genotype. You always want to go back and forth. So as soon as you write down big B, right here, you can write next to it brown eye, right? Turning genotype to phenotype. And then do the same thing. Brown eye, blue eye, blue eye. Wait, completely wrong. Brown eye, brown eye, brown eye, blue eye, right? So in total, we only have 2 phenotypes. We have either brown eye or we have blue eye. But what is the ratio of the two, okay? We have, the ratio will be 3 to 1 because if you were to simplify 75% versus 25%, or if you just count the boxes, the ratio will be 3 to 1. So 3 brown eye to 1 blue eye. Remember when we said in class, you never want to just write the numbers. You have to explain to me what the number means. So if you only write, if the question asks you, what is the phenotypic ratio of the offspring? And then you write 3 to 1, it doesn't make any sense because I still don't know what the phenotype is supposed to be unless you tell me, is it 3 brown eye to 1 blue eye, or is it 3 blue eye to 1 brown eye? How am I supposed to know that you know it, right? So you have to write down 3 brown eye to 1 blue eye. Even if the question says, what is the phenotypic ratio of brown eye to blue eye offspring? You can write 3 to 1 without writing the words because the question already talked about the 2 phenotypes. But just to be safe, every time you write a number, make sure you explain what that number means, okay? Now, the next step, we can also look at the genotypic ratio. So now you want to see what are the possible genotypes. So the genotypes is already written down in the Punnett squares. That's what the Punnett square is about. You write down the genotypes, then you can use that to think about what are the phenotypes. So right here we have big B, that's one type of genotype. Big B, little b, that's our second type of genotype. Little b as our third type of genotype. There are only 3 possible genotypes anyway, right? That's the only kinds you can have with monohybrid. So you write big B to big B little b equals to 1 to 2 to 1, right? Because if you were to count the boxes, the ratio, you're comparing kind of for each big B, how many big B little b are you going to have? 2. How many little b are you going to have for each big B, you would have 1, which is the same idea as 2 to 4 to 2, the same idea as 3 to 6 to 3. But if you were to simplify it to the most simple way, it will be 1 to 2 to 1. Okay. So as it said right here. And then you can also talk about the fraction or the percentage of the phenotype and genotype. So that will make it 75% brown eye and 25% blue eye. If I were to ask about percentage, so make sure you read the question and see what is being asked. Okay, is it a ratio? Is it a fraction, which is 3/4, 1/4, or is it the percentage? Again, each one of the box doesn't mean that this has to be one child. If this couple were to have 8 children, 2 of those children would likely to have this genotype. 4 of the children are likely to have this genotype, and 2 children are likely to have this one genotype, right? And if this couple were to only have 1 child, the chance of this child to have big B genotype is 25% of the chance. Okay, what are the chances? That's the chance. The chance of the child having big B, little b, that doesn't mean this won't happen, right? This is 50% chance. It doesn't mean this would definitely happen. Doesn't mean this would definitely happen. Doesn't mean this would definitely happen. We're talking about what are the chances. And then what is the chance of this child having blue eyes? It would also be 25% chance. So same thing over here. Now you can look at this example. It's the same as the first one, so we're going to skip it. Oh, so let's look at the phenotypic ratio. This will be 4 brown eye to 0 blue-eyed. You can't just write 4 brown eye, because if you only have 1 number, that would not make it a ratio. You have to have 2 numbers. And then genotypic ratio, because there's no other genotype, you can write all big B, little b, or you can also write this 0 to 4 to 0 equals to big B, little b, little b, little b. You can also write this in a different way. You can write 0 big B, 4 big B, little b, 0 little b, little b. So you can, excuse me. So you can separate the numbers with what the numbers means, or you can put them all together. So 0 big B, 2 4 big B, little b, 2 0 little b, little b. All right, so this is our last example, heterozygous father with a homozygous recessive mother. Excuse me. So heterozygous father, homozygous recessive mother. The father and mother doesn't have to, you don't have to have father on the top, mother on the side. These two can switch, because really you're just trying to find out all the combinations of the offspring. So you can place each parent, gamete from each parent wherever you want. But you want to make sure that you know that this letter, what this really means is that that's a possible gamete that dad can produce. This is one possible gamete that dad can produce, and these are the 2 possible gametes that mom can produce. It just so happened that they're the same this time. So we're doing a Punnett square, so we have to do 4 blocks from what you are learning, okay? We'll do the same thing. These are the gametes that dad's contributing. These are the gametes that mom is contributing. So what is a phenotypic ratio? All right, phenotype is what you see. Brown eye, blue eye. So you can write 2 brown eye to 2 blue eye. You can also simplify it as 1 brown eye to 1 blue eye. If you write 1 to 1 or 2 to 2 without saying what it is, I'm not going to count it as correct. Genotypic ratio, big B, little b, to little b equals to 1 to 1. If you want to add in big B, right here or in the front, and say you got 0 chance of getting that, that's also fine. But when it's 0 in the genotype, in the ratio, you can eliminate it if you want to, right? So that's it. We haven't learned touch cross. Here is a here's another practice. Let's try practicing this. Let you try practicing this, and then I'm gonna go over the answers in a second. So all the worksheets that we've done in class, the answer keys are going to be posted online, so you can see if you got it or not. Okay, this part isn't too difficult. You really want to just pay attention to the small details and get it right. So this question, it told you about, you first want to write down what the letters mean. So big L means long eyelashes, little l means short. So in this case, we have a female who's heterozygous for long eyelashes, so that will make it big L, little l. you're crossing with a male with short eyelashes. So then you're thinking, okay, what is the genotype here? The genotype has to be little l, because little l is short and it's recessive. So the only time that you can have short eyelashes is when you have two alleles of the recessive, well, two copies of the recessive allele. So little l, little l. Okay, what's the probability that their offspring will have short eyelashes? So probability, now we're talking about percentages. So let's do a Punnett squared. Big L, well, that's big L, little l, little l, little l. This is going to make big L, little l, big L, little l, little l, little l, little l. Okay, so what's the probability that they will have short eyelashes? You need to think about, again, what makes something short eyelashes? These ones are short eyelashes. So the answer should be 50%. Make sure you can do this question. We can also look at practice 2. Oh gosh. This is a little bit long. I can put the answer up online and, well, actually, yeah, I think we can do this. All right. So good luck studying.